I never imagined one evening could dismantle everything I had carefully built. My name is Marissa, I'm 32 years old, and if life ever gave me the power to undo a single choice, I know exactly which one it would be. It didn't begin with deceit. It began with something that appeared so small, so harmless, that I barely gave it a second thought. A dinner after work, meant to celebrate. One night. One reckless decision. That's all it took to lose everything that once defined my world. My boss and I had just completed a major project. Weeks of stress, endless deadlines, and late nights had finally paid off. To mark the achievement, he suggested dinner. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. At least, that's the story I told myself. Casual. Professional. Innocent. I chose to ignore the subtle pull between us, the way his compliments lingered a little too long, the way my pulse skipped when he laughed. I convinced myself it was nothing more than recognition for hard work. I didn't tell my husband, Daniel, the whole truth. Instead, I said it was a team dinner, wanting to see if he would notice, if he'd ask questions, if he'd care. But Daniel didn't doubt me. He never had. He simply smiled, pressed a kiss to my cheek, and told me to enjoy the evening. That trust cut deeper than I expected. Part of me wanted him to challenge me, to show even the smallest sign of jealousy or concern. But he didn't. His calm acceptance made me feel invisible. Daniel had always been the steady force in my storm, patient, grounded, endlessly kind. He wasn't one for dramatic words or flashy gestures, but he was the man who listened when I rambled, who brewed my coffee the exact way I liked it, who allowed me to be myself without trying to change a thing. In the early years, I thought I'd won the lottery: trust, security, freedom. But somewhere along the line, I started to confuse his stillness with indifference. I mistook peace for distance. That night, I wasn't searching for a fight. I was searching to feel desired. Urgently, desperately. And with Ethan, my boss, I let that need take control. It wasn't spontaneous. I had wrapped myself in lies like armor, telling myself I was simply letting go for one night. But deep down, even as I left the house, I knew exactly what I was walking into. And still, I went. I crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. When I returned home, everything felt different. Daniel was there, sitting in his chair, quietly absorbed in a book, just as he often was. He looked up, smiled at me, as if nothing in the world had changed. But I had. I felt the shift immediately. My guilt wouldn't let me meet his eyes. I tried to pretend nothing was wrong, but the silence between us grew heavier. His touch became rarer, the warmth that once filled the room began to fade. And then, one evening, he asked a question that pierced straight through me. "Did you have dinner with Ethan? Just the two of you?" His voice wasn't sharp or accusatory. It was weary. I froze. I could have lied again. But when I met his gaze, I saw that he already knew. So I whispered the truth. Yes. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He simply nodded. "I see." Then he stood up and walked away. That was the beginning of the end. I tried to mend the cracks. I cooked his favorite meals, reached for him like before, tried desperately to reclaim what we once had. But it was like grasping at smoke. The more I tried, the more he slipped from me. When I finally broke down, begging him to talk, he looked at me with a sadness that felt heavier than anger. "I think we're done." The words stunned me. I pleaded, swore it was one mistake, promised I would change. But he shook his head and said something that shattered me completely. "I've been loving you the best way I know how. But it always felt like you were waiting for someone else." The very next day, he moved out. The fallout was swift and merciless. Ethan, the man I had once found captivating, revealed his true self, cold, entitled, dismissive. The playful charm vanished. He crossed boundaries at work I never imagined he would. By the time I pushed back, it was already too late. Gossip spread like wildfire. Colleagues whispered. Smiles turned into stares and awkward silences. My friends drifted away. Even my own sister, who had once trusted me with every secret, looked me in the eye and said, "You always wanted more. Now you've got it." Daniel's family, who had embraced me as one of their own, cut me off entirely. I was left standing in the wreckage of a life I had destroyed with my own hands. I thought I was craving passion. I thought I needed intensity. What I really needed was a reminder of what love actually looks like. Daniel didn't love me with fireworks. He loved me with presence. With patience. With steady devotion. I had mistaken that for neglect. I went chasing chaos, never realizing his quiet kind of love was what kept me whole. By the time I understood, he was already gone. Now, I live in another city. The divorce is finalized. I quit that job and started fresh in a place where no one knows my history or the mistakes that define me. I go to therapy, trying to understand why I threw away something so irreplaceable in exchange for a fleeting thrill. Some days, the regret is unbearable. A song on the radio, a familiar scent, a couple laughing across a cafe. It all brings back the memory of him, of us, of what I lost. But I'm learning something I wish I'd known before. Love doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it comes quietly. Sometimes it's slow, steady, unshaken. Sometimes it's simply someone standing by your side, refusing to let go. Daniel gave me that every single day, until I pushed him away. If life ever gives me a second chance at love, I'll treat it differently. I'll recognize it when it's soft, when it's steady, when it doesn't shout for attention but simply exists. And if you're listening to this, don't test the loyalty of those who love you. Don't confuse peace with boredom. Don't chase storms when someone has already built you a shelter. Because some mistakes cost more than you can ever repay. And not everyone will wait for your apology.